Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kakuyo, North American contributor for Buddhist Global. Thanks for joining me for this episode of The Ordinary Buddhist. The title of today's Dharma talk is Grab a Jacket. Before we get into that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. I always joke that I'm never quite dressed appropriately for the weather, because normally the temperature inside the house is not the same as the temperature outside the house. So, for example, maybe it's summer, so there's lots of fans going on inside the house to keep it nice and cool. So I may wear a hoodie so I don't get too cool, a little too cold. And that's fine inside the house. But then when I go outside, I'm way overdressed and I get too hot. And then the opposite happens in this time of year where the heat is cranking inside the house to keep it nice and warm, but it's cold and rainy outside. I had that experience earlier today when I stepped out in the front porch, and what do you know? It was chilly. So I came back inside, I grabbed a jacket, went back out again. Everything was fine. Every now and then we make a mistake and we're not dressed for the weather. And in those moments, there's no problem with either putting on more clothing or maybe taking off a jacket or a hoodie to cool ourselves off, so that we're dressed appropriately for the weather we're dealing with. Now, this is true of dealing with the weather, but it's also true of dealing with daily life. Sometimes, as Westerners, because we are trying to be rugged individualists, we think that we're supposed to be able to deal with all of our problems without any sort of help or guidance. But Buddhism takes a different perspective. In Buddhism, we're taught that there are lots of tips and tricks, if you will, lots of tools in the Buddha Dharma that we can use in the appropriate day and the appropriate time to end suffering for ourselves and others. So, for example, if we find that we're not dressed for the proverbial weather, so to speak, and our mind feels very rattled, we can put on the jacket of meditation. If we're feeling very angry and distressed, we can put on the jacket of loving kindness. By knowing what tool to grab and when to grab it based on the temperature around us or in our minds, we can take appropriate action to end suffering for ourselves and others. The only thing we have to do is study the sutras to learn what's available to us, and then have the humility to grab what's needed. Amitabha.